was, what's the right approach and what's the right way to track how people are operating, their performance level, and how to make sure the business and your company is getting what it needs to really hit its vision. A big part of that is around row. And this is not row your boat ashore. This is really shifting from being in hours in the office to a results-oriented work environment. That really dives into tracking not only, hey, they're here 8 hours, we care less about that, and really more about what did they do with that time. For while they were at that 8 hours, did they hit everything they needed to do from a responsibility aspect? Did they add significant business value and business impact in that 8 hours? And if we drop that 8 hours and just say, did they add enough business impact and value to warrant their compensation, to make sure they're hitting their responsibilities? We can care less if they worked 8 or 10 or 12 hours, and more about just making sure the results that we need are actually there. You see row get implemented in many different forms. Some of the very stronger forms are employees being compensated based on their results. So even moving away from a T&M aspect into just, you hit these objectives, here's your compensation. And you'll also see it from just an understanding on making sure that the team member feels and knows their responsibilities and how they contribute. So figuring out the right level of this for your company is going to be a critical aspect as you step back into hybrid, especially because it's going to help make sure that the playing field is level for people in the office and otherwise. The expectations should be the same. How you track can be the same. And technology can help make sure that that occurs very evenly and very easily. And I want to stress 4 main characteristics for row, because we're going to touch on how those impact in the technology aspect and how we support this as we keep going. So a big one is the team member understanding their role at the company. I'm here to do these responsibilities. I want to make sure I get these done because the downstream impact is going to impact Bob and Terry and anyone else that needs my work product to continue forward. And that's going to let them understand why they have the responsibilities they need to achieve, as well as making sure they understand and can coordinate if they're going to miss them or make sure they're going to hit them. So understanding their role, understanding the employee's responsibilities are very important. Just as important is understanding the success metrics for that person. I am doing a good job when these areas are met and hit, and I'm seeing these values. So making sure that each person can evaluate themselves is a critical aspect. And finally, understanding as a team and transparently what happens when those responsibilities and those success metrics are not hit. Here are the repercussions. Here's what we expect to see. So when you take that and break that down, there's a very, very data-driven aspect on the base of it. And that's where technology can help you support these. And in supporting this approach, view your company differently than you ever have in the past. The first step towards that is putting in place key performance indicators or KPIs. So you're going to see this support row from a responsibilities and success metric standpoint. You'll also be able to leverage this to touch on something Mike hit earlier on process automation. So as you start to put KPIs in place, you can track from data across your company how things are operating, where are your bottlenecks, where are things getting gummed up, and have a visibility into how your company operates that you've never had in the past. You can use that to then say, here's a spot for us to automate, or here's a team that we need to spend more time in to make sure they are competent and able to execute efficiently, or start to call out obstacles that you otherwise couldn't have seen. So to make sure that your members are getting supported and being positioned for success. Finally, a big part of this is being able to look at those KPIs and understand the patterns that emerge. Is there a cycle in your business that you didn't recognize because you didn't have access to the throughput, or through the need to hire temp employees for these 3 months, or really what the cause is that's driving towards that? You can start to use those KPIs to establish different leading indicators that will then help you make better decisions. So I'm going to move into data-driven decision-making, which as you get the KPIs in place, you can then start to leverage that data to drive your company in a different manner than you have in the past. And this, when I start thinking about where technology can really help as people go from remote back to hybrid, this is a key aspect, because most companies have had to step and jump into the remote workforce and to take steps to digitize and prepare and leverage technology in a new way. And so as you move back in, making sure you don't lose the opportunity and the capability to track detailed work through your environment and through your system is critical, because if you do lose that, you're going to lose the ability to really get back to data-driven decision-making easily. And the reason you want to hit this is because as you dive into it, you're going to be able to understand what is making your company sing in a different way than you ever had in the past. The data transparency to me comes in at very interesting spots, because you might be able to look at this and say, I have 6 people working on my accounting, and they're having to run down these pieces of information. But if I understand now they're spending this much time over there and I get an integration in place, that technology pays for itself, because those 6 people now will be able to scale to what otherwise could have been the work of 12 or 13. So it gives you that capability to dive into the granular data that is actually driving your company. The nice thing about this, it removes any hunches and guesses. It's no longer, I think this is what's occurring, but I should get a committee to go dive into this before we make any significant changes. As you start to see that data, it really does provide, here's a way to make sure you are confident in that decision, which then allows you to make a quicker decision and execute faster. So going back into the data-driven decision-making, we are capturing that feedback from the environment through project tracking, through invoicing, through all the data that's flowing through your company, and allowing you to make a decision faster than you otherwise could have. I do want to speak a little bit on technology to provide this, because this is really where it gets interesting to me as a technologist. All these different data sources, from your accounting system to your project tracking, to your CRM, to your marketing information, to your website, to your Zoom calls, to your emails, to how many phone calls you make, can play into allowing you to make a better decision than you could in the past. And there are some significant reporting tools, such as data warehouses, that you can put in place that will really help you make that decision at a leadership level in a way you've never felt before in the past. So this is kind of trying to conclude the areas you really want to think as you step back into the office.